soon, and I know a lot of people are concerned about that and wonder if they can get through with, you know, the pressure or the seeming pressure. And we wonder if we should cheat, we should just succumb to a little cornbread, a little pecan pie. For some of us that are not even vegan yet, a little bit of turkey, and I've never been the one to dictate what you should, sample in and stuff like that when it comes to the holidays. But I will give you this. If you find yourself kind of like a food addict or a cooked food addict, you might not even realize the idea of a cooked food addict. But if you see yourself as kind of being a real extreme foodie, you might want to not indulge. So how do you do that? Yeah, it is a daunting task. Why? I'll mention the obvious, right? Well, maybe not so obvious, but the social pressures. One thing that's not so obvious is nostalgia. That plays into it. So if you had good memories of overeating around loved ones, that's one of the challenging things. And you may just want to, get a couple nibbles. Don't explain your diet or your diet choices or path. And then, when you're sitting around with family or friends or whatever the case is, and then just keep it moving, maybe do a little detox, a little cleanse the next day or when you get home, But, and when I say that, I don't mean any type of eating disorder style vibes. I mean a little psyllium husk, maybe a little grape juice fast. This is not something you should do all the time, but yeah, this particular time of year, it is tricky. It is very challenging for a lot of people. So I would say sometimes it's best, specifically again, if you find yourself an extreme foodie addict or you have extreme social pressures and you can't just skip the whole event altogether. I would say just skip the event. Specifically, if you're a beginner, I would say skip the whole festivities. Why do I say that? Because I'm always going to put myself first. And I always suggest that you put yourself first. Not that you should be like, like delicate and stuff like that. Like you feel like you can't do anything without, people's approval or eating or choosing the same exact thing as other people. You can, but around this time of year, for a lot of us, it's not the time to challenge that, right? So if you can get gone, you get gone, and even turn off the TV, to be honest. I'd be real, because there's social pressures like everywhere, television, friends, people at a store just asking you what did you do or what your plans are. And I don't know, there's some little micro programs too where you may feel depressed. Maybe you have nowhere to go, and then you're an emotional eater. So those are some of the problems. And we know what those of us that are emotional eaters do. We eat comfort foods. We use nostalgia to cover up the fact that maybe you don't have anybody, and you seriously believe in that program that, damn, I gotta have family, I have to have friends. I should be better space in my life. I can't face people, they're gonna judge me, blah, blah, blah. All these things come to your mind. So it's really tough, I go through that too, but also I'm very empathetic, to others, mainly because I've gone through that, but now let's get down to what to do. Other than what you may think is avoid, but the social setting, the invite, go with a plan. I know there's so many things and so much advice. That's what is like running through my head, but it's not my advice. So I'll just say fuck it, right? Because I'm not going with my own food. That's just period. Unless I'm really, really comfortable, I'm not going with my own food. Now, if I'm doing the event and I'm inviting people, you just have to eat what I'm serving you. That's what it is. But some people's aura, some people's spirit or whatever comes across so overwhelming that you feel like you have to choose. Like you really feel like you have to choose the food, you know? And if you stay quiet, you feel like you're gonna be like under some type of personality assault. And I'm not the one to even ask questions, answer questions. I don't want to answer questions. I'm not telling you what I'm doing. I'm not telling you what I'm eating. That's just where I'm at with it. And I've had experience where there are teachable moments. And I will say something. I will suggest something. Well, how do you feel? And I'll ask it as a question. How do you feel about, there's people that eat fruits, only fruits. Or more people are open to cleanses, like temporary things, even like a little challenge. So I would probably ask that, like, how's your digestion? Something like that will be an opener, Or if someone really asks me and we're masterful about it. Even you're masterful and you still grew up with all these social and emotional, nostalgia, all of these pressures, you can still get tested. And you could have like years and years of eating, the way that you select in your memory. But there'll always be kind of a thought. Like once you get around a group, that's really the thing. Once you get around a group, however that group energy is moving, it can really, really make you feel abused. Like, not physically, obviously, but it makes you feel abused. It makes you feel assaulted. Like, wow. Like something's wrong with you. A lot more of the vocal people that once they find out how you eat, they have a lot of opinions. Those are fun, And they're like, oh, I would just waste away. And, all of this stuff like that. And then you get the people to join in, and laugh or, whatever. Or they seem vaguely interested while, chomping down on your former favorite smothered dish, cooked to all hell, smothered dish. And again, it's not their fault, but you have to be able to assess support. Now, if you cheat, I won't even say cheat. If you go off of your raw vegan diet for the particular holiday, do so consciously. Do so and know that, okay, I'm doing this. I'm getting back on. I don't care what's going to happen, but also be aware of the trigger. Use it as a teachable moment for yourself, to see how far you go. Now, if you're really rogue, you really like to test and you want to strengthen, your individual stance on diet and everything like that, immerse yourself with the most barbecue-having, meat-eating people and seemingly narrow-minded, and expose yourself to that. I would say before you go, visualize it all going well, however that's going to be. Either they're going to be influenced, but you're absolutely not going to be influenced. So if you feel like you're up for a test, that's really, really good. So test yourself that way and make sure you come out on top, and you'll be the better for it. Now, life creates things like that already, so I wouldn't suggest putting yourself in a fire like that with the so-called holidays, because there are so many ridiculously unhealthy foods that are actually represented that you most likely are already programmed to really, really feel like you should move on that you should have that. So, again, why would you put yourself through the assault? The gain don't really seem like it's matching, So, instead, do something totally un-holiday related. I don't know if you feel like you really have to celebrate the holiday. I don't. I do recognize it as a pagan holiday. That doesn't mean a whole lot to someone that's not religious, but just so you understand, it's a choice to celebrate anything annually and have that type of dedication to it. Like, it really matters. It doesn't matter. Yes, the thought comes up every damn year, and you know it, that you can be thankful on any damn day. So it's like, why are you pulling on your thanks for one day, right? You don't have to. That's the point. The point of this video and this channel in general is to remind you who you are, to help you access, point out, relocate, and activate your personal power. And how do you do that? Say F any type of social experiment with consumerism and, puppeteer strings of, emotions to try to get you to buy and feel shitty about your life. What is the point? Don't even look at it and celebrate it. I grew up, my family did celebrate this so-called holy day called Thanksgiving. We only want to get into the natives and, pilgrims and all of that stuff. If you believe that storyline, fine, it doesn't matter. I can't even judge that. That's what you want to do. That's how you want to raise your kids and your family. That's all wholesome vibes and, killing a turkey. Do you. Point being, choose. Make the conscious choice that these are my morals. These are the things that I think are important. I think it's highly important to slay a big bird every year. I think it's highly important to make a big display of thanks and being thankful on Thanksgiving. I actually don't see anything wrong with that, but add your own things to it. Add raw vegan burgers or something like that as the main centerpiece, or big ass pineapple. How about that? Are you brave enough? That's the type of stuff I like to tap in with. Seems that things that seem absolutely ridiculous to the norm or the originally socially acceptable meals at any of these highly programmed holidays. Play with it, So yeah, if you don't take yourself too seriously, your feeling of your addiction to food is not, on crucial level at the moment, or you just want to have a fun experiment and play, go and meet the people that are holding the space of the old you, sit around the lemon meringue pie that used to be one of my favorites, from like a grandmother figure in my life. She always made it specifically for me. Got over that really quickly years later, not at the time, but once I started walking my own path, that was something that was easier to let go of. Why? Because my teeth did not like it. So so that was pretty simple. But again, that's how a lot of change happens, because you're paying attention to your body. Maybe you were going along to get along, having the festivities, cling and champagne and everything like that, drinking the wine and whatever, the eggnog with the rum, and you went home alone in your bed and went, your stomach is turning. What the hell's going on? What did I eat? And now you understand. You're born alone. You get to make those choices. You're like, damn, I was just going along, and well, it didn't. And anybody else sick? Doesn't matter. Some people are, and they make their choices. But if you're the one that feels sick, that means that you have to pay attention. You have a different path for your life. It is tricky to figure out too, if it's really like, oh, okay, let me just take some Tums. Is it just, it's just one time? Because who really eats so gluttonously, so overly, other than probably once or twice a year, on these times? unless you're constantly eating like that, then, you can get some chronic symptoms quick, but you're not. So, you're like, oh, I guess this food's just good. Maybe just ate a little too much, you know. Or you might have just ate one thing and you felt bad. And then you could kind of figure it out, But so it's a good testing ground for the crap that you shouldn't put into your body, because it's so many things. It's a plethora of things, Maybe you didn't even realize you had gluten sensitivity. Or maybe you didn't understand anything about your blood sugar and you just had like 4 slices of pecan pie, and then you're like, wow, So the body gives you feedback. It's like, either not at all, you'll come out of there like never again, if this is your path, just to be clear, or you really will be like, I had no idea that sugar made me feel this way, or that turkey made you tired, or that mac and cheese or anything with dairy actually made me feel bloated or mucusy, or whatever the case is. Did you know like most people are lactose intolerant? I don't know if you know that, but drink some eggnog. You know what I mean? Like sometimes we have to go overboard to actually see our particular path, like what the body and what our higher self actually wants for us, from us and for us particularly. So hopefully I give you a lot of information that you can choose the best path for you, but you don't have to succumb, but you also don't have to look at it as succumbing. Realize it's a very difficult time for a lot of people, coming at you from so many different fronts. Again, mental, I don't believe it's a bodily thing, perhaps, when it comes to, because it's only one day a week, but it could even be like a withdrawal thing for some people, because not withdrawal, but you'll get physical symptoms as if it's a drug, but not so much on the one day. But yeah, you may want soda, you may want extra sweet things. That's the mental. Your body may be calling for a fast, a rest, a deep quiet. But because of these programs, because of these social pressures, because of nostalgia, what's the point, in testing it real strong? You don't got to test it. Program's there, unless you're doing it, again, specifically to learn about yourself, and then change and curtail your diet accordingly to figure out exactly what's for you. But yeah, so just to sum up, stay away, but look at it as so positive. And if anyone asks you, just be like, I'm working on myself. I do feel like it's time for me to just be quiet and to myself, or just have a good day. Really, you don't have to confide in anybody what you're doing. Just be like, look, not today. Oh, you want me to leave you any food? Or, oh, she's making a famous pot roast. Nah. You know what I mean? Oh, give me a slice or whatever. Because it's complicated, right? Because some of these things are, quote, made in love, made with love. And you don't want to make the other person feel like, wow, I really don't appreciate anything you guys are doing. Oh, you're slaving over the hot stove stuff. I appreciate that. Yeah, take it. Either don't eat it or have a little taste in front of them or whatever. Or just if they ask you, oh, how did it go? Oh, it's tasty, I just have indigestion. It didn't go down well, So it may come across like I'm saying lie. And hey, lie. Shit. If you need to, lie. Here's the name of the game. This is what I'm talking about. Protect yourself at all costs. Why? Because of who you are. You have something within you that is vital to the world. And part of that, if you're listening to this video so far, is getting your diet in order. What is your diet for? Your diet is to support your walk here in this idea of time, space, earth. And you need the highest vibe, around you. So when I say don't go to a place, you're not avoiding anything. That's a negative way to look at it. You're choosing not to go somewhere. And when I say, oh, maybe you taste a little bit of something and then throw it away or something, it's not to cultivate an eating disorder. You know deep down you're not missing out on anything. But you do understand you don't want to isolate yourself from people because perhaps you're here to inspire people, you know? So you want to build rapport in certain type of ways. Not that you have to be fake and phony, but there are certain things you're aware of. You realize certain people are attached to certain things, and you want to show them, I see you, you know, and I appreciate you. And here, this is what I have to share with you. People are more likely to listen to you if they feel like you care about what they care about, or you're willing to hear them, or you see them, you know. Things that people will do things they say they will never do just because how they feel about you and how you treat them. So they'd be like, oh, bring over some of those pineapples, you know. It will surprise the shit out of you, you know. She's cooking fatback chitlins, and you're like, oh, okay, you know. Now you got a conversation going. But most important thing is vision. If you want to integrate quick, now, when it's Thursday, and you're like, okay, you have a thought, I already know these people don't want to hear nothing about no raw nothing or raw dish or anything, you know? And I'm just going to feel like I stick out like a sore thumb. Flip that quick. Instead, say, wow, people are so open to this diet. I'm going to end this with a quick story. I was starting to change my diet. I had a boyfriend at the time. This is not my first time vegan. Maybe that's why I feel like I've been vegan my whole life. But, so I had a partner, and he was vegan. He's the one that inspired me. Did he really inspire me? No, he didn't really. He made it easier to. So again, like I was telling you about, like the social stuff, it's the social part of it that, wow, now I have a partner, you know? And my mom decided to do it too. So it was like, boom. And at the time I lived with my mom too. So it was like, it can bring you so much joy when you have social support for your health journey and your diet journey, you know? So yeah, we used to do fitness together. Similar. We had those likes. It's a beautiful vibe. You know, we're not together now. I don't mind it at all. But wow, what a great vibe when you have community, you know? And if you're not subscribed, please subscribe to the channel, get more videos. And if you need more support, I do one-on-ones right now. I don't know how long I'm going to be doing it, but if you want to, you can schedule a one-on-one with me, and we can coach and we can talk and see how we can get you to your highest level of health yet. So anyway, saying that, yeah, that rapport, you know, and that's why I want to build a community on this channel as well, because I started in a raw vegan community. I'm no longer in that community, but it was nice hearing, even though people have problems, you know, hearing that you weren't alone. There's something to that. But anyway, still be willing to be alone. Back to that, right? So there was a couple of years I was vegan, and I went to my family's home, and my family, very, very rooted in history outside of the U.S., have all those foods, you know, from, you know, where my ancestors are from. And I won't say I was addicted, but I come to expect it, you know. So I had them in a certain type of vision, a certain type of box, you may say, a way of thinking, right? So and it's been like that for years. There's no reason why I would think that they would change for me, or I don't know. I just didn't have that type of confidence, you know? So just to give you a story, it was like curried goat meat, rice and peas, and not so much oxtails. That kind of came later, and occasionally there were some greens, you know, but mostly, you know, turkey, meat-based things, dairy-based things, mac and cheese, ice cream, all of those things on Thanksgiving, okay? So one year I went to Thanksgiving, and it was the year that I was very conflicted because I wanted to go to Thanksgiving. I wanted to hang around the family members and catch up. We don't catch up throughout the whole year, so I wanted to. But I was just so conflicted. Like, I knew I was going to eat healthily. I wanted to eat healthily. But I'm like, damn, I wish it was this way. That's when I realized one of my family members actually had a diet change. Surprisingly, she was vegan or vegetarian. Totally shocking. Did not expect it at all. So, was I sending out prayers to the universe? Apparently, at the time, I wasn't aware who I was as far as the power of my mind and manifestation, but I feel like it was tailor-made just for me. So, she had vegan dishes, and I felt like she would have appreciated having even more vegan dishes, like the whole thing catered in a way, even with dishes that other people brought. I just felt that support and that vibe and that knowledge downloaded to this person without me opening my mouth at all. So I say that to say there was a lot of dishes I could eat. It's big aluminum tin of salad, make that how you want to make it, so that was a start. So yeah, I realized now, I didn't realize then, I have a lot of power in my vision, so if you're gonna integrate again this Thursday, this Thanksgiving, 2025 and beyond, have a very strong vision of support. Imagining people either asking you about it, being so desperate to understand, some of the other ways of people complaining. That was actually what happened with my family member. She had some type of health scare, and she made a health transformation, and her whole family supported it that lived with her. So it's like they all ate like that. So it wasn't just her, like, you and someone in a corner. So wow, what joy, And if you're vegan and you see that one or even group of people that you didn't expect actually supporting your lifestyle, exactly. So does it have to be a one-off? No. But you do have to give yourself over to the idea that, yeah, it's gonna change, and you're gonna be that change. Your family, your, where you decide to go, that's gonna be your change. This year is gonna be your change. So really go delusional, really set yourself up for success, and believe, like, wow, I can't believe, like, just talk your shit, I can't believe how many of my family members support me this year. And people were bringing things and only mentioned it to one person, and how did they know? And you know what I mean? So it can be magical if you want to, integrate with other people on that particular day. But otherwise, continue to put yourself first and do something different. Be thankful every day, and hang out with the ones that you feel is the real ones, meaning the ones that's going to support you, help you, facilitate you, and bringing your gifts to the realm, to this world, in the time space, however long you have allotted. So don't play no games. Don't pretend necessarily, but you know what I'm talking about. Some of those personalities, them long ones, the grandmas or whoever, those strong ones seemingly, and I've not that old, but I've lived enough where I even seen grandma figures fold, to health scares. And they changed things in their diet. I never thought. Again, didn't know my power, didn't know how the realm can switch up, But I've seen it, and I was surprised. So don't be surprised if just by you and your stoic nature, you and just your firmness and your way of eating, your lifestyle doesn't change by you talking to people. But it does change. Just your energy changes everybody and everything around you to make it a more welcoming experience just for you. I love you guys. Don't fold. Don't back down. And again, put yourself first. Be selfish. Check that video out next if you need more motivation and more clarity on why you absolutely deserve to be selfish. Love you guys. Bye.